Hello guys, welcome to This Trick is Sick this week. This is Dave Palmer here at Palmer Power Motorsports. I got my daughter, Hannah Palmer, and she's a nervous wreck about being in this. She's going to be my helper today. So this is going to be episode 13, which is going to deal with the LS build series that we've had 1 through 8. We're going to be doing the rods, pistons, and a set of custom rings. These ain't going to be a set stock rings, and we're going to show you how to do the wrist pins, and we're going to do the whole get up. So Hannah here is going to help me out. So, but thank you guys for staying tuned in. I hope all of you are fulfilling all the requirements for the free engine, and which she was asking, are we having a giveaway? And I told her, yeah. So we're giving away an engine, aren't we? One like Mom's.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, she's a little bit nervous, and she's going to be having her channel soon on YouTube, a gaming channel, the Hannah Banana. Yeah, all right. But anyways, let's get back to this. She's going to be helping us out here, and we're trying to get mom's engine taken care of. And want to give a shout out to Kevin Blumenthal, J&H Tire, Pete's Machine Shop, Ampco Electric, and MMA Max. So all you guys, thank you very much. And Summit Racing. It's hard to remember everybody. So, but anyways, you guys, thank you very much for staying tuned in. We're gonna give you some tip and tricks of this engine, and we're gonna break out the pistons and the rods, and we're gonna get to it. So, all right, thank you guys. All right, guys, we're gonna go over what parts that we're gonna put in this LS engine. Now, please keep in mind that this LS engine is completely stock. So it is bone stock. Well, I mean cubic inch wise and the crank sizing and all that. So we didn't bore it. So we didn't go with a 30 over or anything like that. They did a diamond hone and cleaned up the cylinders, and that's about it. So everything looked good. So we went with a stock piston. And what I went with on this is I went with a Molly type of piston, and I got the coated because we want the option. We went with a flat top, and it's got like a 2-valve relief on top right here, 2 valves for your head's relief. So it's not like a completely true, flat top, but I went with the extra coating, and I highly recommend that even if you're not going to run nitrous, because if you run this special coating on here, this polymer coating, you're going to it's going to help with detonation. It's going to keep your motor from blowing up. It's going to really take care of your engines, and it's going to have a lot of longevity with it. So remember, this build is a little 327 that we're putting in my wife's VW, and we didn't go with a larger bore size or anything. So keep in mind that we went with a Molly piston, and I can even give you the model number here. Looks like LS13308000404 from Summit Racing. So if you guys want to build along with me and you want to build the engine exactly the way that we are, you can do that. So also what I wanted to say was you do it at home selfers. You guys, please take my recommendations. Do floating wrist pins in your motors. Right here, the wrist pin. This is the part that connects your rod to your piston head. Do a floating wrist pin, because if you do the press in, there's a lot of liability of messing your rods up due to having to heat them and having to heat the pin and whatnot, and make one side cold and press it in, and you can mess stuff up. All you got to do is double check this little clip that you put in on each side of a floating wrist pin. Floating wrist pin, you can put it in yourself. You don't have to have a vise. You don't have to have anything. It's way easier. And we'll show you guys how easy. Me and Hannah will just slide it in. We'll put the little clips in, and there'll be nothing to it. So other than that, just make sure that they're fully coated. So and Hannah here, I help her. I ordered, instead of ordering a stock set of rings, me personally, I always go with the ones that are that you have to custom cut. And we will show you the machine that we use to custom cut our rings. And that's one of my kind of top secret things is that I hand cut each cylinder for any engine that I build for you guys. So no matter who I build the engine for, I go with a total sealing ring. And you can see I got them from Molly, and they come numbered. And it's 1 for the top, 2 for the middle. The third one is on the bottom. That's going to be your oil rings. So, and these 2 top ones are going to be the ones that you cut. Generally, you don't have to cut the oil rings. You just have to measure the clearances and stuff. And we will show you guys all what we do there. So I get rings that you have to hand cut. So my engines are normally very, very custom. So the only reason why I do that is because I found that each cylinder is hundreds of thousandths of an inch difference. So I like mine to be dead on all the way through. Some people think I'm crazy for how specific I am, but I will hand file every ring that goes in this engine, and that set of rings for that cylinder hole will only fit that one perfectly. So every cylinder is specific and exact. So, and how you get your calculations on your gap, they give you a little piece of paper here with an equation, and it'll ask you high performance, circle track, nitrous, turbo, supercharged, diesel, and you take that, it tells you the bore size times 0.0045 thousandths. That's just an example on a high performance street engine. Multiply that, and that will give you your clearance for your top ring. And then it has another equation for the second ring, and that's how you get your gap with your feeler gauges. So that's how you get the calculations on it. And then, thank you. And then, like I was telling you, the floating wrist pins. Just request that you got floating wrist pins. Floating wrist pins, they will go in nice and easy. And then it comes with a set of clips here. People are so worried about losing those clips. They're not that bad, guys. It's just being picky and double checking and taking your little flathead screwdriver and prying around on it a little bit and making sure that that clip does not pop out. So, what else we got here? We got a set of bearings for the rods. And with this, now you're going to want to check this with your plastic gauge again, and on the crank, and you want to do that ahead of time. It's going to be the same way that you do your that you did your crank in the last episode. So watch the last episode on how to use plastic gauge, and that's how you double check yours. We've already double checked ours, so during this session we're not going to plastic gauge our rods onto the crank journals. So what I suggest is, if you have not, run your plastic gauge dry and make sure that you you do the sequence, and your rod torque is a little bit different too. So you'll torque the rods, check, pull them back apart, check your plastic gauge. Once you're good to go on your clearances, then you will tighten everything up. We will give you the episode what clearance that you need though on those rods to your crank. And then last but not least, the rods. We're going with an Eagle set of I-beam rods. And your I-beams are going to be a little bit stronger from what I've gathered over the years than your H-beam, but your H-beam is going to be lighter. So we're going with a set of forged rods on it, and a real nice set of Eagles, some E8s here, and they're going to be a really nice setup. And then it's going to have the ARP rod bolts. So make sure that you do the ARP rod bolts. And like I said, the crank now is a standard size on the crank, and then up here floating wrist pins, so the wrist pins will go right in there. So, and also we will give you all those clearances and everything on that. So, well, you see we got our engine covered. Here you go, Hannah. We got our engine covered still, because cleanliness is a big deal, and keeping the condensation and moisture out of our hair that way. And we're going to get this stuff back over there on the shelf, and we're going to start putting this thing together and show you guys how it's done. So, all right, thanks, guys. All right, guys. All right, I'm here with Hannah. We are looking at which setup that we want to do, which one we want to do here. This is actually concerning the Molly rings, these true fit rings that that we're gonna do for the engine. We got to pick out which setup we're wanting to do. Which one are we gonna do there?
The nitrous.
Up to 200. Say that. Up to 200.
Up to 200.
Okay. And it says, what's it say after that? The bore
is times
point
0060.
Yep. 0.0060 on the top ring, and then the second ring is 0.0050, and it says the O-rings have to have a minimum of 0.015. So right here, I'll let you hold that up. Right there, we did our calculations. Our top ring, your bore on a 5.3 LS is going to be 3.78 times the 0.0060, which will give you a 0.02268. So 23 thousandths. See how that works? And then your second ring, we did our calculation, and our O-ring a minimum of 0.015. So those are the clearances here. Hold that, please. The clearances right there. That is what we're going to do on our filler gauges. So a set of filler gauges, that's what you're going to use. Now the way that we're going to do our rings, you can get this little device here at Goodson Engine Supply, and this actually fits. You put your ring into the cylinder, and then this goes down in the cylinder, and you just push it down, and what it does is it only pushes it down so far, and it's actually a little cheap little device that I think it's only like $10 or $15 for this ring, and it will set you up to where you can put your filler gauges in the gap. This is going to be the gap that you got to have on your rings. Your rings have to have gap, or they're going to weld themselves, huh, Hannah?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys, we're going to get on to it. All right. Well, now we're going to check the rings. Now you got to do this for every cylinder, right?
Yep.
Okay. And show me, what are you doing here?
So when you put it in, you have to see the M, and it has to go straight up like this, or the bevel edge has to go up.
Yep. There'll be a little beveled edge, guys, and that goes up.
You're gonna barely put it in, and then you're gonna get the gauge, and you're gonna measure it.
And you get these gauges from Goodson, guys, and it's a depth gauge. Oh, open her up. She had her out. There you go. It's a little gauge that puts it down so deep, because you got to have it so deep to get a correct measurement. What are you doing right now?
I'm pushing it in.
To where it hits these little deals?
Yep. And then you take it out, and then you get this
filler gauge
on 0.022.
Yep.
And then
0.022 thousandths. Remember the calculation we did, guys, for the top ring? She's working on the top ring right now, and she set it down in a depth that she has to.
And you're going to see if it fits in the gap. And then that's the size we have to cut it.
Yep. So it's not fitting, so what do we got to do?
We got to cut it.
Going to have to cut the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to remove the ring, and we're going to go cut it on the machine. And you have to do that for every cylinder. The top ring, the middle ring, and the bottom ring. So this is very, very time consuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Hannah's just checking the gap. It won't even go in there. So we're going to have to cut it and make it bigger. We're going to show you the easy way to do this. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Just a quick reminder, when you cut them, you got to make sure they go into that hole, and you can't, like...
Only that hole.
Yeah, only that hole.
Can't go to the second one.
Can't go to this one.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure it goes to this one.
Yeah. What she's basically saying, guys, is whatever we cut for this can only go to that one. So when you cut, we cut these rings just for this first hole. You can't move it to this one, can you?
Nope.
Nope. So make sure you keep that set that you cut for that hole.
Mm-hmm. With
that piston, right?
Yep.
Good reminder. All right, guys, this is the only machine that I recommend for doing your rings. This little ProForm setup right here is actually, man, they're pretty expensive. They're $200 or $300, but this is the only way to go. I mean, you can do these by hand, or you can, just show it right here. You can do it by hand, or you can do it with another machine. You can back out a little bit. Basically, what you want to do is. Sorry, Hannah's here helping me record a little bit, guys. What I generally do is I will get my little setup here and get it all geared up, and I will stick it through right here. And what I generally do, let's see, let's get this thing on up here. I will try to square it up with the end here, and I will make it touch real flat this disc right here. I will tighten it down. Now remember, we need around 20 thousandths of an inch clearance. So what I'll do is I'll clamp that down, I'll touch it, and then right here on my gauge it says like 80 thousandths or something like that. What I'll generally do is I'll go ahead and turn it around here to 0. I'll get it to 0. Not so close, hun. Right there. And then that way, whenever I grind it, I can kind of get a rough estimate of what I'm going to do. And I'll turn on here. It says about 10 thousandths. I go to about 15. Call it good. Undo it here, and then just walk with me, Hannah. And then what I'll do is I'll take this thing back over here with my filler gauge. Now make sure that you wipe this off. And what I'll do is I'll stick it in there. Remember, you got to do this. Turn that off. You got to do this one for each. You got to do this one for each cylinder, and then I'll push this down nice and easy, and then I'll measure the gap. Ooh, that's close. I need a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing back over there, grind on it a little bit more until we get our perfect 22 thousandths.
Working on our second ring.
Yep, we got the first one done, right?
And the second ring
is going to be what?
0.0189.
Yep, so 18 thousandths. And we got that on our filler gauge. Remember, same cylinder. We're still working on the...
Find your M.
Yep.
Put it
or M or beveled edge. Goes to the top, right? Okay.
Push it in. Get your gauge and measure the size. Push it down really slowly.
Yep, and we're setting this up for nitrous, right?
Pull back up and get your filler gauges and get 0.18018.
Yep.
And then
find your gap. Or she
doesn't fit, so now we have to go cut it down to the size.
Okay.
Take a lot of time, so we're going to do all the rings for all of the cylinders, so just follow along with us while we do the work.
All right, guys. Now we're going to prep our rods and our pistons. We're going to mate them together. So your rods and pistons, you want to make sure that you get everything directional, done wise right. And we just finished doing the top and the second ring and double checking even our oil rings. So Hannah helped me get those cut and get them custom cut for nitrous. And we've got all them done and got them laid out. So now we're going to put those little wrist pins in the pistons and show you which direction that the rods need to point and whatnot. So, all right, thanks guys. right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in to This Trick is Sick this week. Gonna have to cut this video a little bit short, but we're gonna post them back to back. The rods, pistons, rings, bearings, stuff like that took us a little bit longer to record, so we're gonna have to split it up into like a two-part series. So well, not series, but 2 parts on that. I just got too much video footage. I've got a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, and it's just too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to split it in half, because all of it is very good information. You're going to definitely need it, and it's next level. So thank you to Kevin Blumenthal, Summit Racing, J&H Tire, Ampco Boys, Pete's Machine Shop, MMA Max, and everybody at the shop, and everyone that's helping us out. So thank you guys again. And also, just real quick, before we cut out here, I want to let you know that I will be the next part series. We're going to post these back to back, so you're not going to wait a week to get the next bit of information on the rings and stuff. So we're going to post this video, and then I'm going to upload the other one within the hour, so that way you can watch that one and then you can watch the next one. So we're just going to we're going to have to split it up. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable about leaving out any information because it's all good information, and especially if you guys don't know what you're doing. The guys that know what you're doing, it's probably going to seem like it's relentless, but just bear with me. I'm trying to give some tips and tricks to these boys, and if you follow along, you will also see some pretty neat tricks that we're throwing out there. So thanks again. Watch the next episode on the rings, bearings, and pistons, rods, and all the whole get up, and I will post it as soon as possible. All right, guys, get back to it. Thank you.